Hello everyone and welcome back to Nadaar and Dear's Guide to Everything. Today we've got another beginner's guide for you, and this week we're doing the Paladin. I'm really excited for this. This is actually going to be another critical role style build from the Oath of the Open Sea, which is Matthew Mercer's homebrew. I always love doing this kind of thing, and I thought we'd come up with something pretty fun today. I've got a couple of ideas floating around. With that being said, if you could like, comment and subscribe, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Leave a comment with what classes you'd like to see in future. We are actually swiftly running out of beginner's guides to specific classes, then we can move on to subclasses and all kinds of things, so we'll see what comes in the future. But yeah, just leave a comment if you want to see anything specific, and without further ado, let's jump into D&D Beyond. Okay, so you know where to go by now. We are on my second account, which has nothing applied to it. This will be exactly as it's seen by you beginners out there who are looking to create a paladin. We're going to turn a few things on. So we're going to turn on homebrew, we're going to turn on critical role content, and all these things here, all the optionals. I'm going to turn off multi-class just because that's my pattern for when I create a character. Basically all we need is the critical role content, to be fair. Let's randomize a name. Okay, I've settled on one that I quite like. We're going for Mixis, and I think it sounds pretty good because when we move over to race, you'll see why. We're going to go with a Dragonborn because both of their primary buffing abilities, basically, both fit great with a Paladin. We get a +2 to Strength and a +1 to Charisma. Strength is usually what Paladins are. You can absolutely make a dex-based build with lighter weapons, but we're going to go for like a great weapon build, a large weapon, powerful hits and that kind of thing, and their spellcasting goes on their Charisma. They're often the face for an adventuring party as well, taking the lead in most of the conversations that you'll have with somebody else. But yeah, we're going for a Dragonborn, and we're actually going to go for our option of which Dragonborn. We're going to go for Bronze, and now that is because I already know what oath we're taking. We take the Oath of the Open Sea as a Paladin, which is kind of it's the oath we take. It's where we draw our powers from, essentially. So we're going to go and take the Oath of the Open Sea, and our Draconic Asteroid is going to be Bronze, because Bronze dragons love coastal areas. They love the ocean and coastal areas. So we're going to lean into that, and we're going to be a disciple of a famous Bronze dragon. Name TBC. We'll see what happens. With that, we do get a breath weapon available to us. We can use our action to exhale destructive energy. Our Draconic Ancestry determines the size, shape and damage of the exhalation. Because we went for a Bronze, it's a lightning breath in a 5 by 30 foot line, and it's a dexterity saving throw. We also get damage resistance to the type associated with our Draconic Ancestry. So in this case, Bronze again, lightning, so we have resistance to all lightning damage moving forwards. And now for a class, we're going to go with the Paladin, as I've mentioned. And we get a few really fun features here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to level 3. We're going to take our Oath in the first one of this, just so you can see what the first few levels look like. And again, I think I've said this in past videos, a lot of campaigns seem to start at level 3, because that's when all classes have come online. If you're a beginner, I do recommend level 1 and just go through it steady as you go. Hit points, we get a 1d10 as a Paladin, which is just shy of the Barbarian 1d12, which is fantastic. For proficiencies, again, we're going to have a strong aspect on Charisma and Strength in our particular character. So I think Athletics out the gate will be really fun, and Persuasion to really lean into that. We are a charismatic Dragonborn, whether that be Intimidation or whatever it might be. Additionally, as a Paladin, we get a Divine Sense at first level. We can open our awareness to detect such forces as Celestial Fiends, Undead, within 60 feet that aren't behind total cover. We also get the Lay on Hands ability at first level, a pool of healing power that replenishes you when you take a long rest. With that pool, you can restore a total number of hit points equal to your Paladin level times 5. And that's an action to heal yourself or others. So at this particular level, we'd be at 15 hit points available, which is fantastic, even at third level. For a fighting style at second level, because we're going for a large weapon, we're going to go for Great Weapon Fighting, which means we re-roll 1 or 2s on the damage die, or we can if we choose to. So spellcasting for a Paladin works the same as a Cleric or a Druid. You can choose from your entire spell list as a Paladin after a long rest and change of everything that you have. As I mentioned before, our Charisma modifier is our spellcasting ability, and we can use a holy symbol as our spellcasting focus, the same as a cleric would, so that could just be hung around our neck or emblazoned on a shield. And again, with all of these, I always do recommend on the first page you can choose to pick the show help text or do a beginner's build. I recommend that if this is still quite confusing to you. Second level, we unlock the famous feature of Paladin, Divine Smite. Starting at second level, when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend one spell slot to deal radiant damage to the target, in addition to the weapon's damage. The extra damage is 2d8 for a first level spell slot, plus 1d8 for each level higher than that, to a maximum of 5d8. The damage increases by 1d8 if the target is an undead or a fiend, to a maximum of 6d8. So Divine Smite is the fuel of a paladin, and one of the fantastic things about this is you can roll to hit a creature with just a normal melee attack. Then if you get a crit, you can decide to add a Divine Smite onto that. It's something you can do after the fact, which makes it very powerful, so you never waste them when you're rolling to hit something. Third level, we get our Divine Health feature. The divine magic flowing through you makes us immune to disease. So when we reach third level, we do get the option to take upon a sacred oath, and it is the intention that everything before this moment has been your preparatory stages before you take this oath to whatever this creature may be, or it's just for a cause, for a purpose. You vow to a king of a region that you'll do a specific thing, and you do unlock spells associated with that oath moving forwards as well. So in our case, that would be to a bronze dragon, of which I'm going to come up with a name with now. Perfect. So we have Lamaruntosh, or Mother Worm, or The Claws of the Coast. Many titles. This is a dragon famous in the Forgotten Realms for owning the Scaly Eye shipping company, and she was said to have loads of powers in addition to just being a bronze dragon. She could regrow limbs at will, but that's as a result of a tragic backstory of her mother's own experiments. So perhaps I think we work for the Scaly Eye shipping company, and we devote this oath to her to keep the seas safe and things like that, and that's where we kind of draw the most of our power from. That's where we take our oath with Lamaruntosh. So speaking of that oath, now we choose at the bottom here. As default, you'll have access to the Oath of Devotion, which is fantastic. I would recommend it, but we're going for the Oath of the Open Sea. Just keep this interesting and sea themed. Something to note as well, bronze dragons and most metallic dragons are usually good or neutral aligned, which is why this isn't really evil to be worshipping a dragon almost, and she actually did make a lot of the shipping lanes safer, specifically for her ships, mind, but it is something that Lamaruntosh did, so that's really fun, and that's why I'm going for a bronze dragon in this case, not an evil one. So oath spells, the only ones we need right now to worry about are at Paladin 3rd level. We do get access to Create or Destroy Water and Expeditious Retreat for free. Additionally, we get Channel Divinity, very similar to a Cleric as well. When we take this oath at 3rd level, you gain access to the 2 Channel Divinity options. We get access to Marine Layer. As an action, you can channel the sea to create a thick cloud of fog that surrounds you and heavily obscures the area for 20 feet in all directions, following you as you move. You and all creatures within 5 feet of you instead treat this fog as lightly obscured. This fog lasts for 10 minutes, spreads around corners, and cannot be dispersed. So essentially, we just create a barrier where no one can get a good bead on where we are specifically. We also get the Fury of the Tides Channel Divinity. As a bonus action, you can channel Powerful Might of the Waves to bolster your attacks for 1 minute. Once per turn for the duration, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can choose to push the target 10 feet away from you. If the target is pushed into an obstacle or another creature, they take additional bludgeoning damage equal to your Charisma modifier. So if you're in a tight room, this is going to go absolutely off. This is just a fantastic feature. Bonus damage on every hit for a minute. Really good, equal to our Charisma modifier, which should be, as soon as we can make it, a +5 basically. Lovely, so that covers everything for the class at 3rd level. We're going to move on now to abilities, and we're going to do the usual thing. We're going to roll it, and I'm going to speed it up so you guys don't have to sit through this. Okay, so we've actually got a pretty fun spread there. I think I'm going to go for the bottom set. Still 2 glaring weaknesses, but the 6, I mean, we can't do that, surely. But what we'll do is we'll say that we're very strong out the gate with our +2 that we get from being a Dragonborn. We'll be at 19 strength out the gate, which will be bloody good and makes sense if we're doing lots of hard work on a sailing ship or something like that. That absolutely makes sense. Charisma wise, we'll go with put that into 15 because it does need to be there for our spellcasting. Really decide what we're going to get rid of. I think probably intelligence and wisdom probably need to go. I think we would be dexterous again working on a ship, but I think that would probably be the 14. Constitution at a 15, and then we're not the smartest, which doesn't abide by most dragons rules because they are very smart creatures, but perhaps that's something we can work on over the course of a campaign. I think actually what we'll do is we'll swap these. I think we're more likely to be perceptive being out on the open sea than we are to be intelligent. So we'll go with that, we'll apply those, and we'll move on. So here we have Mixis for a background. I think we could go soldier, but I think it makes more sense to go for an acolyte. See if we've been in service, if we've been with the Scaling Shipping Company since we were born. Maybe our father did it and now we're taking on that mantle as well. And that does give us proficiency with insight and religion, and while our wisdom isn't great, I guess we'd be able to see through people's lives with the insight of, I guess, encountering lots of pirates perhaps in our past as a young dragonborn, and religion because we are very much devoted to this bronze dragon that is considered, it's almost our, not our god, but our divine being that we look up to as our savior and whatnot. It's where we draw our power from, so we've got to be thankful. So suggested characteristics, let's roll these. These are always fun. We'll roll 2. We've got a 1 and a 3. I idolize a hero of my faith and constantly refer to that person's deeds and example. Now this could be, as I just mentioned, it could be our father. Perhaps our father was a famous paladin dragonborn of Lamaruntosh and we're trying to take up that mantle. That could be really, really fun. And we've got number 3. I see omens in every event and action. The gods try to speak to us, we just need to listen. So perhaps we just go on and on, especially if it's like a water-themed campaign, if you're out on the ocean a lot, which I would, if you're going to take the Oath of the Open Sea, I would make sure there's going to be some element of that in your campaign. Otherwise you might find thematically you feel a bit out of place, I think. But yeah, seeing omens in every event and action, that's just like judging the sea. So the mistress is angry at us today if the dragon's not around. Things like that is what we could go for. Ideals wise, we'll roll 1. Number 6, aspiration. I seek to prove myself worthy of my god's favour by matching my actions against his or her teachings. Yeah, that's really, really good. I think this aspiration to be successful in what I do, keep the shipping lanes safe and take this good alignment to everything, get rid of all evil that's trying to plague our seas. Fantastic. I think this is great. It was said as well that Lamaruntosh would actively seek out ships that were flying her flag that shouldn't have been. We can be like her go-to for that. We go and hunt them down and make sure those flags are pulled down. Use our charisma to persuade or intimidate them to do so. We'll roll a bond now. We've got another 6. I seek to preserve a sacred text that my enemies consider heretical and seek to destroy. Well, you could just say that is just trusting a metallic dragon. And you could just say that chromatics are probably out for it. If maybe she's got a spell book or this secret, she has this power to regrow limbs. Imagine if evil dragons had that same ability. That would be absolutely crazy. So maybe that's something we're trying to protect as well. Protect that knowledge. Finally, we'll roll a flaw. We've got a 2. I put too much trust in those who wield power within my temple's hierarchy. So maybe we're really quick to trust anybody that's a part of the Scaly Eye shipping, regardless of their alignment. Not that we would know that. We don't have a particularly high insight, as I mentioned, even though we've got proficiency in it. We wouldn't be able to see through too much. Maybe we'd trust people as long as they said they were with Scaly Eye. Maybe we'd trust them, but then equally that is combative with us being sent out to sort out those who shouldn't be a part of it. So yeah, this would be something fun to try and roleplay there. So we won't go into character description, don't really need to too much. Imagine a bronze dragonborn with just like slightly greened fins around the edges. I love it, I can see it in my head. For our equipment, like I said, we are going with, I guess, a heavily martial build devoted to strength. So for our 2 martial weapons, we're going to go with a glaive, is what I had in mind, a big pole arm. And I think, just in case we can't use that all the time, what would be useful on I really like the idea of when we're underwater we switch to a trident instead and use that, or then we could just go like a spear or a pike, and then that way we've got the reach, because I don't believe a trident has reach. So we'll go with the pike for now. I think that's the one that has reach. So chainmail and a holy symbol. I imagine this would be emblazoned on our around like on a necklace around our neck, or perhaps it's tattooed, or perhaps it's on our armor itself. Could be even be on the glaive that we're holding, anywhere. So we'll just go with emblem for that. And when we were gifted, when we kind of started this, I'd say probably an amulet that we wear around our neck as well. And we'll go for a prayer book for writing notes and mapping shipping lanes and things like that. Just had a fantastic idea for a magic item on that. Perhaps Lamaruntosh's she has a book, and whenever we scroll in it, it appears on her end as well, so she can see all the shipping lanes in like real time. It'll be like a 2-way map, a magically enhanced one, so that anyone that fills in something, it appears across all of them. That'd be really cool. I really like that idea. With that, we have completed the build. Let's jump into the character sheet. As you can see, 19 strength out of the gate, 16 charisma, fantastic already there. And thank God we have proficiency in insight, otherwise that would be a -1 along with our perception and things. That is not good for out on the open sea, but whatever, it's fine. We'll deal with it. So I've equipped all our bits, and you can see a glaive out the gate, +6 and 1d10 +4, and then a pike for when we're underwater. I think makes sense, almost like a harpoon. I think I would flavour that as. That'd be really fun. And at level 3, you could probably argue that in devotion to our god, when we take our oath, we could in fact take a, and I was searching in the wrong spot there completely, we could in fact get a glaive +1 for devotion to Lamaruntosh. Love it. There we go, glaive +1, so 1d10 +5 to +7 to hit. Let's quickly go through the spells. So we always have create or destroy water and expeditious retreat prepared because of our oath. Bless, I mean, it's just too good. I think while we do have Divine Smite, I think constant radiant damage would be great. I think Divine Favor would be lovely. And I'm just now thinking of this as like a Pirates of the Caribbean campaign where we're going around searching for cursed ships and things. Could be really fun. I think perhaps we do have our Divine Sense. The Detective of Evil and Good might not be so good. I think Command, because we would have a commanding presence as a very large, burly Dragonborn. You could argue for Heroism if you're going to encounter a lot of dragons with the Frightening Presence feature, because this makes somebody immune to frightening. We could go with that, but I think out in the open ocean, if no one else is going to take it, we'll have to go with a Cure Wounds, just to make sure we're doing our bit for all the crewmates and things like that as a part of the Scaly Eye shipping company. But that is it. That is how you make a paladin. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if this was helpful for you. Oh god, I'm just noting our passive abilities now. Just terrible. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're very physically focused. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. This has been Nadaar and Deer's Guide to Everything. This is Beginner's Guide on how to make a paladin, Oath of the Open Sea. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.